Testing, testing. And then test yours.
Hello.
Started. Okay. Welcome to A Connection is a Connection, the show where we take a break from business talk and dive into the personal side of things. Today we're sitting down with Adam to uncover his stories, quirks, and passions that may make them tick. Let's have some fun and get to know them like never before. First, give a warm welcome to our guest, Adam. Woo!
Thank
We
you.
are here to keep it light and fun, so let's jump into some questions. But first, can you please give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Obviously, my name's Adam Roberts. I am a seventh generation native to Arizona.
Wow.
So a couple of the bigger cities we've actually named. My family line's been here forever, and I'm blessed to have an incredible family. My son, I have 100% custody of, which is pretty much my world. I coach his soccer. It's like the highlight of my week every week. At the same time, I would say that my parents realistically make that even a possibility. My parents are retired. My mom offered to become his daycare, and they actually
Wow.
are very, very active with that. And it gives me the ability to have a schedule that honestly the normal single dad would not actually have. But I'm very blessed because I see my son every single day, and there you go. So
That's so amazing. Well, let's hop into some questions. We're so excited to have you. All right, you ready for these questions?
yeah, let's do it.
All right. Imagine you are sitting on the bench next to God. As you sit together, he smiles at you and asks, "What's on your mind?" What do
A
you just
lot,
say?
a
What's the
lot.
first thing that comes to your mind that you would say to
Dude, what the heck's wrong with this place? No, I'm just kidding.
him? It's getting better.
Right, it is getting better. That's a really, really good question. I could probably talk for hours and hours and hours upon that. So I've actually read the Bible 3 times, but I have a very open mind spiritually when it comes to a lot of different stuff. And so I'll just say that I think our Creator ultimately wants us to learn to love like He loves. And I oftentimes wonder how we get so off track. And so I guess I'd probably ask the question of what are some things that I should focus on just so I'm at my best? What are the things that for me keep me in the best spot? Because I think we always kind of look for that stuff, right? We always look for the stuff that actually helps us to be the best version of ourselves. And we don't always know the right answer to that question.
And we get
So,
lost along the
yeah.
way.
So I'll just say, hey, like, what's some things that would really keep me on track to, one, be in your will, and two, be a better representation to the people around me of who you are.
That's so beautiful. I love
So,
that. How do you want to be remembered by the people you love the most?
that I love well, that I actually genuinely care about people. So, yeah.
And you're real and you say
Yep.
who you are, you're actually that person. What's a fear you've conquered that you're proud of?
That's an interesting question too, because I could go really simple. I'll go simple on this one. So, probably about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I was very scared of heights. In fact, there was a running joke in my family because I was at the top of a carousel at one point where my older brother's spinning it, like trying to go back and forth. And I'm literally like
Oh no.
freaking out. Like, as much as you can freak out, I'm freaking out. Because, like, I'm like looking down at certain points. I'm like, I'm going to fall out. My mom tells the story where she's like, just remember hearing a kid screaming his guts out. I'm like, oh man, I kind of feel bad for that kid. And then she looked up like, that's my kid. And so that was my
Oh
story growing up, right? Well, about 6, 7 years ago, I was like, I realized there's a certain areas of my life that I'm not facing that I need to work on. And that's a simple one, but I started to do a lot of different things to overcome heights.
no. Like what?
So there's a place called Sibicu Falls here, and you got to climb up one way. The first time, I'll keep this simple. It could be a longer version of it, but I'll just say that,
It can be as long as you want it to be.
well, I get, there's a good analogy behind this one, so I'll tell you this one. So Sibiku Falls was one of the bigger ones for me where it really helped me with the psyche portion of it. The first time I went to Sibiku Falls, when you climbed up this wall, the only way down was to jump basically a 50-foot cliff dive, right?
Oh my
And so I was like, this is my way of forcing myself to actually one of the ways of overcoming my fear of heights. Because there was no way down. Like to go down the other way, I probably would have fallen backwards and I legitimately probably would have passed.
yeah.
So I did it. And I did it like 2 or 3 times that day. And oh my gosh, it was beautiful that day. I went back probably about 8, 9 months later, and they had actually put up a wooden ladder in that section that you actually had to walk, or that you actually had to go up. So technically you could go back up and down, right?
Wow.
Well, it's interesting because that time when I went to do it, where I was at, I kept going to jump and I kept stopping, which was not what I did the first time. And I'm like, there's something different this time, and I don't know what it is. And I was like, I noticed when I went to jump that my hand went to like grab this part of the rock that held me back from actually jumping.
Oh my gosh.
And it was totally, I was like, why am I doing this? I'm like, oh, I'm doing this because there's a ladder that I can go back down. Right. And so I think it's a good analogy, because a lot of times people don't burn the bridges in certain areas of their life. There's smart ways of doing stuff. I don't recommend people just carelessly make decisions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the pathway was shown. I'd already seen like 5-6 people jump on it the first time, so I knew it was safe, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, I knew it was like, man, I'm grabbing onto this rock, and I'm
Because
stopping
you know there's
myself
an easy way
because I
out.
know there's a way out.
So
and,
what made you jump the first? What made you
so-
actually be able to jump the first time?
If you have to, you have to. You know, there's certain scenarios in life where it's kind of like, I have to make this work. I have to do this. And when you put yourself in scenarios like that, that's when actually a lot of times people, I would say, we use our creative juices, and we find ways to make things work. And
Yeah.
so it was just there's no option.
Oh my gosh. And you had to like climb up it like.
Well, so it was probably like let's see if I can say this right. Probably like a 60 to 75 degree angle that you had to go up.
Oh my gosh.
And so going back down, it was an interesting, the way the angle actually was. There was really no going back down outside of that ladder.
So you just had to jump.
Yeah, I intentionally did it knowing I have no option other than to do it. Now I'll say this: when I actually knew I overcome my fear of heights fully was when I went to Vegas, probably about 1.5 years ago, and I went to the stratosphere, and I'm like, I know in my head, okay, well, I'm supposed to be scared of heights, right?
Yeah.
But I get on it, and I'm like, I was not scared at all. My buddy Alex Frederick was with me, and he's like, I thought you were really scared of heights. I've seen you. I'm like, I guess I'm not anymore. Because like I literally went on this machine 3, 4, 5 times, and I was like enjoying it. Like it was like it was, in some ways it was relaxing. Which if you've been on the stratosphere,
it's not relaxing.
It's not relaxing.
Oh, no,
in no way, shape, or form is it relaxing. So realistic. I was like,
but your body is finally like at ease and ready to conquer it.
Well, and it kind of like, honestly, not to go too deep, but a mindset with it is like, what do I have to lose, right? So, but everybody else had already done it, and it doesn't mean that's a good principle to live by. But
yeah, but you knew it was safe, and if it wasn't, there would have been signs.
So.
If your house was on fire and you could only save one non-living thing, what would it be?
Oh, please don't say a computer, because everybody says a computer.
Yeah. Or your phone.
Right, it probably would be a computer.
Yeah, exactly.
I just do. I mean, everything's to that, right? And without, banking to everything else. So, but and it's funny because I have pictures of my son that come to my mind, but I'm like, I actually have the same picture that I could put in a different frame. So I'm like, not that. I have a couple of gifts that a good friend gave to me. One was like a jellyfish thing, and one was a picture I can't replace. Yeah, that would be that. So
yeah,
nice.
It's always hard to think about like what you would bring because you're in such a to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Adam, we have a special question that we ask every single one of our guests.
Yeah.
What are you doing for God?
What am I doing for God? Trying to be an example of somebody living on a daily basis that way. I think the best anybody can hope to do is realistically the small, simple stuff that show people that love is real. And I think God is love. And so if we have a desire to let God flow through us and to make an impact in people's lives, I could spend forever on this question because I used to do a lot of live feeds on relationships with our Creator. But ultimately, I think just being mindful of them. Am I an example of love?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely.
It's a good question.
All right, we're going to go to the next questions. If you had to choose to go back to your ex or prison, what would it be? You really have to think about that one.
I feel my immediate answer is not a good one. I'd go back to my ex because she'd leave again anyways. She just didn't want to be a mom, and then that's okay. That's not she wanted to be. But yeah, probably my ex. Actually, it depends on the ex that you're talking about. Yeah,
Hey,
that's for sure.
whatever one you want to choose.
Right. Ex. Yeah.
Instead of prison.
Yeah.
I think you're the first one that's ever
Yeah,
said
you're
that
the first
before.
one to ever say that.
Well, and here's what's weird too, and like it's kind of odd, but like I actually have pretty good relationships with most of my exes.
Yeah.
I'm debating on how to communicate this, but so again, I'm 100% custody of my son, but my ex is actually a pretty good person. Most people will hear this and go, "How is that even possible?" But she was pretty young, and she didn't want to be a mom, and that just wasn't what made her tick. And long story short, doing certain things, it just kind of came about that she's not a bad person. She has very different goals to me. And, the family thing's really important to me. And I, not everybody's that way. And I don't know if this makes sense or not, but getting mad at somebody for being, you don't get mad at a rock for being a rock. A rock is just a rock. Well, on her particular scenario, there's just certain ways that she ticks. And honestly, when I'm really honest with myself, I can see that. And so it's almost the best scenario for the children, even though most people would never understand that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
When do you feel the most at peace or truly yourself? Oh, this is a new one.
Yeah, that's a new one.
That's a good one. Shoot, I don't know right off on the spot. I think I'm
Do you have like maybe a spot or a place that's
kind of always me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I'm kind of like I don't really have a shy spot. Like my mentality is like I'm nice to everybody. I don't know if I have any place that's more or less than others. Yeah, I think I'm pretty congruent, honestly. I think for me, it's kind of that like I'm the same person. I might be in a different setting at certain times, but I'm comfortable in just about every setting. So, but yeah.
That's good.
Nice, yeah.
That's good.
Absolutely. All right, this one. What's the most impulsive purchase you've ever made, and do you regret it in your lifetime?
You're really making me think. I bought a plane ticket. I can speak. I bought a plane ticket to fly to Florida to meet a group of people that I'd never met before. And so,
what?
Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
To
How did
party
it
with? Or...
What's that?
Did it turn out good?
It turned out great. Yeah, it turned out great.
You don't regret it?
No.
So what was the purpose of
Do
doing
we
that?
want to know?
Right.
Do we want to know?
So, it was a mix of business and pleasure.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So fun.
What's the one thing you own that you'd be embarrassed for someone else to find?
I mean, the first thing that came to my mind is so goofy, but I wouldn't. Here's the thing, though, too. I wouldn't even. It's one of those things where I really wouldn't care. But the first thing that came to mind is: have you ever seen the movie Labyrinth?
No.
No.
Okay, so the movie Labyrinth is with David Bowie.
Oh yeah.
And it's like you remind me of the Babe of the Power. Anyway, so long story short, I actually bought the full costume at one point.
You did not.
Of David Bowie's Goblin King. And it happened to be one of my favorite childhood movies growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pull it off well because David Bowie didn't have a beard.
And the big hair. He had the big hair.
I could do the hair. Yeah. No, I did the hair. I just couldn't do I wasn't going to shave my beard for the outfit. But yeah, Goblin King from Labyrinth. Somebody would probably look at it and go, what does he do on Saturday nights? And I'd be like, I would play into it. I'm like, oh, I have a lot of good fun on Saturday nights. I just wouldn't care. But
That's right. Do you have a picture?
I do. Well, it was a Halloween costume one year, so I do have a picture.
We'll need to see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh, well, talking about big hair. What's the worst haircut or hairstyle you've ever had?
I'm gonna sound like a commercial for hair stuff now. So literally in the last year, I went from getting on some doctor's prescribed medications, and I lost a decent portion of my hair to a spot where it was thinning, and I was like, I've always been told I kind of look like a funny looking version of John Travolta or something like that.
Really?
And he shaved his head.
No.
I don't
Yeah.
know. And so I was like, let's just give it a shot. Why not? Let's do it. And so I shaved it. I actually got a lot of compliments on it. But honestly, I wasn't ready to have it done. I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to test it out a little bit. And so I actually, there was a couple of different products that I tried. And my hair is actually thicker now than it's ever been in the last like 10 years.
Oh, nice.
So it's, it was a mixture of just a few vitamins, something called finasteride, stuff like that. And I don't know, I think it looks pretty thick now.
It looks
pretty
good.
good. Yeah.
It looks really
How long
good.
did it take to grow back, though?
So probably 3.5 months.
It's
Like
bad.
I literally get a haircut every other week now from
Yeah.
the guys. And the guy's like, whatever you did worked. So
Wow.
You definitely need to pass that formula.
A lot of us.
I feel like a commercial, but it really was. Like I literally like within the last year I could show you a picture of me completely shaved, completely head shaved to where it's at now. So
The company's gonna end up reaching out to you and be like,
right?
Yeah.
"You are magic."
So-
Oh gosh. Thank you, Adam, for taking the time out of your day to spend it with us. Can you give us your business commercial and how people can connect with you?
Sure. So my business is basically working with businesses, but I actually focus on newer technology. AI. I'm the broke version of Elon Musk, basically. And even a broke version I'm okay with. But ultimately, I was the guy who was very cautious of AI, very nervous about it. But I've been in SEO services for a very, very, like literally over 15 plus years. And so I actually worked at GoDaddy and actually taught a lot of the sales staff SEO. But in the last 14 months, there's a shift taking place with technology. And there's a shift taking place with human behavior in regards to how we search for businesses, how do we actually do business with companies. And ultimately, AI tracks behavior. Well, on our side, I'm like, well, I can either become irrelevant and basically, over time fall behind in certain, marketing strategies, or I can actually force myself to start learning. So literally even on the way here, I was listening to about 15, 20 minutes worth of AI and how it actually affects Google Ads. I know we were talking about that a little bit before, but how it affects Google Ads. And ultimately, if I was to say in a very brief version, I do marketing for companies and I focus on newer technology and AI, because if you don't, you will fall behind.
Yeah.
And I don't care, anybody who does not do their stuff utilizing AI or newer technology, it's an impossibility to keep up. So anybody who doesn't utilize that, I'm just like, I get it, because I was that guy that really didn't want to change and wanted to stay with the way that I was doing it before. But there's a cultural shift taking place, as Elon Musk said. He was afraid to open the box, and now it's like probably 5 to 10 years before AI can do every single thing that a human can do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's longer than what you expected, and I apologize.
No, you're
So
good.
where can people find you, or how can they find you?
Sure. So Strategic Digital Media is my company. And we actually just I went fully independent about 3.5 months ago. So through some medical stuff that took place with the old company I was with, I was like, all right, I'm going fully independent. I want to be able to take care of my clients on a fuller basis and not be rely on anything. So Strategic Digital Media LLC.com
Awesome.
is a site. And they can also give me a call, 480-241-1767. Honestly, any business I'm willing to actually have a conversation with. But I also, how would I put it this? I recognize where his business is at, and I also understand that it all matters about return on investment. And every business owner is at a different spot. If somebody has the budget, they really want somebody like me to take over the marketing, I can do that. If somebody just was like, hey man, I just need some like points and tips to really get rolling, I can help there too. So
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. We've appreciated your time. We've had a great time here. And stay tuned for the next interview.